Hornsworm hat. Have you guys noticed that it just feels like fallout and the change was pretty sudden? It's always that way. The changing of the seasons. There's a reason that there's the equinox, that's a well known day. Notice it doesn't happen like halfway through the days. There's always a day that is the day of the equinox. And it really does mark the start of the next season. And there's only 4 seasons, and they always come, and they they always have a start date, and you feel it right away. It's not like summer gradually turns into fall, which gradually turns into winter. That's not how the seasons work. They really are distinct things. It's like one day you just realize, oh yeah, we're in summer. And same thing for the other seasons. Right now, just recently, it had really been feeling like fall. And what NASA Outer Space Fantasyland wants you to think is that all this nonsense is going on. Great cartoon imagery, guys. And in a world like this, everything would be continuous. It would not be discrete, meaning everything would be a very gradual change. We would eventually hit the hottest summer day really slowly, and then we slowly would turn into the coldest day. And it wouldn't really be obvious where spring started or where winter started, but that's not how real life works. They have everybody so up in outer space fantasy land, nobody nobody pays attention. Practically nobody pays attention to the stars and the moon. And that's how they want it. They want you ignorant of the world around you. Daniel chapter 2, verse 21, and he changeth the times and the seasons. He removeth kings and setteth up kings, and giveth wisdom unto the wise, and knowledge to them that know understanding. Genesis chapter 8, 22. While the earth remaineth seed time and harvest, and cold and heat, and summer and winter, and day and night shall not cease. These things are very discreet. The very first thing that God did, well, one of the very first things that God did was separate the light from the darkness. I mean, was that the first thing? I'm not 100% sure. Separated the light from the darkness, made day and night, and then made the sun and the moon. That's probably when seasons came about, because the moon is really moon is month. That's where they get the idea for month. But you just have to see that, like everything else, they want you confused, and they want you thinking that months are just some sort of human invention, things written down on paper. Months are real things, and it's from a new moon to a new moon. That's a month. But today, nobody follows that type of calendar. They want you on the Masonic calendar and Masonic time. We don't do stuff from sun up to sundown anymore. We don't say, I'll meet you at noonday. I'll meet you when the sun is highest in the sky. Nobody says dinner's at sunset or anything like that anymore. It's all about this fake Masonic number on a clock. And that's how they like it. Exodus chapter 12, verse 2. This month shall be unto you the beginning of months. It shall be the first month of the year to you. Everything in Training Land is to keep you confused and lost. What is the very first month being in the dead of winter? January. That makes no sense. That's not how real life works. Nisan is the first month, and it's in the spring, which makes sense. It's a spring month. And that makes sense. Things that make sense, it's because it's the truth. Things that don't make sense, if you've lived your whole life wandering around like I did, saying none of this stuff makes sense, yeah, it's because it's a bunch of BS. Most people are just going down the broad way to destruction, and they're totally deceived. And if you do what your average sheeple does, if you're just following along in this life, just doing what people tell you, you're doing nonsense. That doesn't matter. What does January being the first day of the month, or the first day of the year? That doesn't make any sense. It's in the middle of winter. It definitely makes sense for the very first month to be when winter turns into spring. And that's when everything starts blooming, and that is the beginning. The winter is the end. It's just, that makes sense. How do they build all these sites all over the earth that align with a specific day. If we lived in NASA Outer Space Fantasyland, everything wouldn't match up to very specific days. There wouldn't be a specific, oh, this is the equinox day, this is the solstice day. Everything would just be continuous, not discrete, meaning the equinox would end up being at like fractions of days. And how would the sun be rising in the exact same spot year after year to mark the equinox? It's because we live in a place that was constructed this way. It's not random chaos that brought this place about. Why is the moon the exact same size as the sun? That didn't arise chaotically. It's because God made both of them, and they're both lights in the firmament, and they're the same size. The only way that this could ever happen, where you can build a building and at the same time every year the sun comes up in the exact same place, how does that work in NASA Outer Space Fantasyland? There would be too many variables, too many slight deviations every year. It would not happen that you could build a building so that the sun comes up in the same exact spot. They have monuments where it's like a drilled hole and the sun passes through the exact spot. Exact. And they like these things because it proves God, and they put it in your face because they want to present you all this proof for God, but then get you to reject it. Because then there's no fault. You knew all this stuff happened, but you still believed the fantasy CGI images rather than believing in God. Real life is on the left. Real light, so it doesn't have to be growth, but just here's the difference between continuous and discrete. Continuous is on the right. It's what they want you to believe life is. Life is not continuous. You can't give birth to a fraction of a child. You can't have a population of like fractions. Right, there's no population out there. We have 100.3782 people. That's continuous. What discrete? There's a specific number of people. God knows how many people are. You have a specific number of hairs on your head. God knows how many. There's a specific number of days, numbered days, and you can count them. Now, just talking about the seasons, sun and moon, I just wanted to show this because the over-the-top symbolism, the one eye, the black and white duality, you're surrounded by people that know about this stuff. They know about the secret symbolism. They're gatekeepers. They don't want you to know about this stuff because they want to keep you from God. They like the fact that people are so deceived. They feel special for knowing this stuff. You see people with this type of imagery all over the place, yin yang, fire, ice. It's because that's how the earth really works. That's how seasons really work. The sun is hot, the moon is cold. They don't tell you about the moon being cold. There's a lot of stuff that they don't tell you about because they don't want you asking too many questions and figuring out that it's a bunch of BS. Kiora, why does moonlight reduce temperature? The top answer, Glenn, well, look at that schnoz on beady-eyed Glenn with no eyebrows. If they have no eyebrows, they're hormone abusers. That's why they have no eyebrows. Hair falls out. There are literally hundreds of videos on YouTube claiming that this simple little experiment proves that moonlight is cold, which means the moon is not reflecting sunlight as we have been told. So we have been lied to by scientism and evil NASA. Therefore, the earth is flat. Yep. Oy vey, shut them down. Talking about the truth. They are wrong. Okay, let's see your proof, Mr. Schnoz. Mrs. Schnoz. The moonlight does not cause an object to get colder. It's the object in the shade that gets warmer. And here's their picture. It's they're claiming that this is what's going on. Oh, the clouds or like a tree is keeping it insulated. So that's why it's hot. It's not losing its heat to the atmosphere, I guess is what they're trying to claim. No, that's just a bunch of BS. So for my personal experience, I parked my car outside for a little bit last winter, and the part of my car that was in moon shade didn't get ice on it. Do you know what was giving it shade? It was a tree that had no leaves on it. That's not insulating. A tree that doesn't have any leaves on it because it's the middle of winter, that is not insulating my car to the point where that half of my car doesn't get iced. This is nonsense. Addendum. Some may wonder, what does moonlight temperature have to do with flat earth conspiracy? The flat earthers say, okay, throwing out a bunch of BS. I don't agree with standard flat earth people, trannies. But I just like, It's because once you start questioning stuff, you realize that you're being fed a bunch of BS. Yeah, the earth is flat. Notice that they always just sit there mocking you for believing that the earth is flat. It's like always their first go-to. That guy, the FTM, the Free Martin, even though that this is a question about the moon, they had to jump to flat earth. So often online, when I talk about truth, they jump to flat earth out of nowhere. Oh, what? And you believe that the earth is flat too, probably. It's just like a script that they follow. They know to just throw that out as like an ultimate insult. Oh, I bet you're probably a flat earther too. Yeah, I am. Because that's what the Bible says. It's what all observable evidence says, as long as you're not taking some sort of authority figure like NASA. Even though they tell you it's CGI. I just want to show this, and that's it. I might have a few more pictures, I don't know, but I'll finish up. Thank you, Stephen Gons, for this answer. It is easier to fool someone than to convince them they have been fooled. People are indoctrinated with theory after theory that has no scientific evidence. Examples. Theory, the earth is a sphere, therefore bodies of water are convex or curved. Reality, everything that we can observe and test proves that surface water is always flat and level. The physical properties of water proves that when at rest, water will always find its level. Yet images produced by people in NASA, who tell you they are CGI, cause you to believe water can magically curve. Here, they're just saying that, well, the sunlight is heat. So if the moon is reflecting sunlight, that should also have heat. So the moon shade being hotter doesn't make sense. That's what this is saying. That if moonlight is just reflected sunlight, the moon should give off heat. Moonlight should. The fact that it's the opposites lead people to believe that moonlight is in fact giving off its own light, which it is. And the Bible says that. Fake images, right, of the whatever. You can pause and read this if you want to, but I'm basically done. Here's how it works. Here's how the seasons work. I just noticed this, that the moon started rising way farther to the east recently. It's just this balance of sun and moon. That's all it is. There's two main things that have to do with how the sun and moon work in the sky. And the big one is that the sun moves faster through the sky than the moon. The moon moves a little bit slower through the sky, and that's what causes the phases. It's that simple. The farther away the moon is, the more full it is. When it's opposite, it's full. And when the sun catches up to it, you get a new moon. Maybe I'll do a video sometime explaining this with pictures and stuff, but I'm just saying in words. The seasons are how high the object is in the sky. During the summer, the sun is really high in the sky and the moon is low in the sky. The sun is hot, the moon is cold, so when the sun is high in the sky, the hot wind's out and it's hot. And then just for spring and fall, it's more equal. The sun and the moon are about the same elevation in the sky. And then for winter, the moon is high in the sky and the sun is low in the sky. And it's really that simple. They confuse you with a fake NASA outer space fantasy land. The truth is simple, and you just need to observe it for yourself. You need to pay attention to where the sun is and where the moon is, know where the path is that they take through the sky. Pay attention to where they rise, and pay attention to how high they get in the sky, and you'll see how the seasons work. And for the moon phases, just pay attention to where the moon is in the sky, and just remember the moon moves more slowly through the sky. That's like the main thing that causes the phases. Yep, I'll just keep it at this. Maybe I'll do a more detailed thing with some pictures sometime. But since it just turned to fall, and it was so obvious to me that, okay, now we're in fall, I thought it's worth making a video. There's a difference between discrete and continuous, and we live in a discrete world. The earth is discrete. God counted the days out. Day number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's not random chaos. That would be a continuous world. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. God bless everybody.